Welcome to Talk Data with me. It's myself, Craig Stewart from Dalebrook Media. This is a new show I've got going on. Thanks to Chadney from Snowflake for coming up with the name. First guest, Matthew Bernath from R&B. Matthew, how are you doing?
Good, and you?
Yeah, I'm fine, thank you. Matthew, so we're going to just go through a bit of a data roundup. It's something that we've been wanting to do for a while. Through the rest of the show, I'm going to go into a bit more detail with other people, other guests, what they're doing in data. But I think what you and I can do is just a quick data roundup. What's happening in the world of data that's really catching your eye at the moment?
Yeah, so much stuff. But I will say one of the things I was talking about this morning, and actually it has really captured people's attention, especially people that are managing data analytics teams, is the whole move back to the office.
Yeah.
Because what really happened over the past 2 years is that data scientists were working from home, and they really equipped their home offices. And even if I think about myself, I've got a 49-inch widescreen, I've got my mouse, I've got my keyboard, I've got everything set up for a great sort of conducive data science environment. I can sit there, sometimes I sit there in my hoodie, and I get down to coding, which is obviously not something I do all the time. Now, as we're asking people to come back into the office, especially moving to more of a hot desking type environment because people aren't in all the time, people are saying, well, hang on a second, especially data scientists who are used to coding, working, perhaps, writing SQL queries, building models, maybe doing a bit of visualization. To do so on a little small laptop screen, because that's now all I've got in the office, is really tough. Whereas at home, I've got this massive monitor, maybe I've got 3. It's really conducive to working, especially as a data scientist. I can put on my headphones, listen to some music, get my coffee going, and I'm good to go. So I think that's something that we're going to have to grapple with, especially people who are managing sort of data science and data analytics teams, because data scientists is very different to, for example, a deal-making world. We really need people to actually be getting down coding, getting their hands dirty with data, and you've got to say, well, actually, is the office the right environment for that? Maybe we need a balance. Maybe the office is for team building, team chats, and all of the meetings that we need to do. And if you're going to be working and building models, finding data, whatever the case might be, maybe rather do that at home. So I think we're still trying to find that balance. That's something that's big at the moment, at least in my mind.
Yeah. So, I mean, surely the last 2 years has kind of proven that people working from home can be productive, sometimes even more productive, as you say. So is it kind of changing the legacy and culture within the organization to say, that's fine, we trust you at home, you're developing your models, whatever it may be. When we need you in the office, we need you in the office. So that sort of remote or hybrid environment, people seem to be a lot more comfortable with now from an executive level.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I think, having the face-to-face engagements you can't replace. So it's great. It's about finding the right balance. And also it's about being flexible. So I know a lot of organizations say, okay, come in maybe on a Tuesday or Thursday, where I'm much more of the mind where I'm saying, well, hang on, if we've got a big project to deliver on, then work wherever you want this week. You don't have to come in on Tuesday and Thursday. It's not a hard and fast rule, because I'd rather people are working where they're comfortable, where they've got everything at their disposal. And again, I've got, team members who are at home have exceptionally large screens, the lighting's right, they've got the right keyboard that they love programming on, they've got their coffee machine right next to their desk, and let's rather optimize that. So it's about finding the optimal, I guess, not work-life balance, but let's say homework and office work balance. And I think it's going to be different for all sorts of different teams. And I think people who are managing data analytics teams need to be very comfortable with that you're managing people that are really smart, really hard workers. And if they're not in the office, we trust them, right? We trust them. These guys are smart and they know what they're doing.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll track that with the other guests that I'm interviewing over the course of the next few weeks and just kind of see where their heads at in terms of where their people are based and then how they're getting those people to be productive. Okay, we've covered that: remote, hybrid working, the culture, the productivity, etc. What else is on your mind from a data perspective at the moment?
So the other thing that's on my mind, and I'm talking about a lot at the moment, is alternative data. So I think over the past 2 years, we've become very comfortable with saying, look, we know all the regular data sources are coming in. We've even moved more towards high frequency data because, during the pandemic, the world was moving at such a fast rate. We really wanted to understand what is happening on a real-time basis. But now it's about understanding, well, what's the other data that can tell us about what's happening? And a great example at the moment is the supply chain.
Yeah.
We know about the massive supply chain issues globally. And it's a case of, well, how do we track this? Because we maybe don't have all the data at our disposal to track this. And it's about understanding how do we understand what's happening along the supply chain, from having a look at manufacturing indices, all the way through to what's landing at our ports, That's one factor. And then obviously, very unfortunate, the sort of Ukraine-Russia war at the moment, how that's affecting things. And obviously some data analytics teams based there that we hope and we pray are okay and safe, but obviously having a lot of effects on the rest of the world, another effect on the supply chain. And of course, in terms of things that might really affect food and food prices and food inflation, how are we tracking that as data scientists? How are we preempting that? Just going back to the supply chain, of course, the big thing is microchips and the shortage of microchips. What does that mean? For things happening in the data world, especially everything runs in the chip these days. So that's just a couple of things that are of interest to me at the moment, and some things that I'm paying close attention to.
I think a lot of people are looking at alternative sources of data, and they're kind of trying to find out, where do they get this data? A lot of that stuff you can pick up through market data, etc. But through the supply chain stuff, what sort of data sharing agreements or partnerships have you entered into to try and get that sort of alternative data, or is it kind of freely available to you?
So I won't speak too much about any agreements that we have, but I think some of the stuff is definitely available. We know that there are websites that track ship movements, aircraft movements, and things like the price for transporting goods. We also know that there are manufacturing indices that we can have a look at. So some of the data is available, but the real trick, and obviously this is where the data scientists come in, is how does the data all fit together? And how can we present a picture that tells us, what can we do about it? And if we can't do anything about it, at least, how can we be best prepared, and what's going to be happening in the future? Because I think at the moment, nobody's quite sure about when these issues are going to resolve themselves. And it might take a few years until we're back to sort of the normal supply chain process. And I know people who have ordered equipment, technology-based equipment, let's say lead times used to be six weeks, it's now up to a year. So this is definitely going to affect things, from cloud computing and AI all the way down to TVs and phones.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we'll keep a close eye on it. Matthew, I know you're short on time. We wanted to keep it brief. Thanks so much. Anything else maybe you wanted to add finally before you step off?
I think, what's real interest to me at the moment is the question of data analytics, whether it's augmenting our processes or whether it's actually going to replace people. No, that's something we can chat about over the year. And the other thing is obviously the return back to a semi-normal and return back to conferences. And there are a lot of sort of data analytics conferences happening. And of course, you had yours, which was really fantastic, great to reconnect with people. So I think a lot of opportunities to reconnect with data science colleagues around the world in in-person conferences, which is really exciting at the moment as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I own my biased opinion. Can't wait for more. Busy building up our winter edition, which is actually coming up in July. Before I let you go, maybe a plug of a new coffee shop that you're trying that you maybe want to share with people listening that are based in Joburg.
I mean, look, I've obviously got to say that, David Wilstra, a good friend of ours, has just redone Seeing Coffee, third space in Four Ways, just redone it. It's absolutely amazing. They've got incredible coffees coming in from Timor-Leste, award-winning coffees that they're putting out. So if you want a treat, go there. Of course, there's also third space coffee shops, in Benmore and Sandton and Rosebank, so nicely accessible. And that's where I'm going at the moment. The Timor-Leste coffee is just hitting the nail on the head. Yeah,
absolutely. Couldn't agree more. If you're based in Joburg, Four Ways area, or you want to drive to get really good coffee, Campbell Road, they've obviously got a blend named after the road that they're in as well, Four Ways. Matthew, thanks for joining me. We'll catch up soon.
Thanks, Greg.
All right, cheers. Bye.